Good afternoon, everybody. I'm super excited that I've finally found the time and space to be able to convene this dialogue. It's long overdue. And this is the first time that we're getting together since our coaching programs. We've had a couple of grant writing mastery cohorts, 2022, 2023, and some other programs we've been doing one-on-one since then. But this is the first time we're able to come into the room to have a conversation outside of a coaching conversation. So this is actually a dialogue for us to just throw in our ideas, challenges, what you're currently doing, what you're currently struggling with as it pertains to building your nonprofit organization. When I framed the theme as building resilient and sustainable organizations, it was based on one of the emerging issues, especially in this year, 2025. So I want to believe that we all know what happened when the United States government pulled out of financing development work globally. Maybe it's not 100% pull out, but from all of the things that have been happening post declaration, when Trump mentioned that, oh, it's cutting on federal funding, I think that was at the end of February. A lot of things have been happening. We've been seeing a lot of radical and disruptive changes, especially within the nonprofit sector when it comes to grant funding. And it all made sense that fine, this is the right time for us to just have a conversation and see what can we do or what are we currently doing in order to bounce back from the impact of that. The impact is still unpacking itself because this is just 3 months, good 2 months plus 3 months after that decision. And for those of us that are very observant with what is happening within the sector, we can see it beginning to play out. Different changes when it comes to funding opportunities that are available, requirements for funding, programs that are shutting down, interventions that are closing down outside of Nigeria, even outside of the African continent, in the Middle East, in areas where we have very serious conflicts and high level of displacement and refugees, programs are shutting down. And then I see that it calls for us to begin to readjust how we approach the work we do in our nonprofit organization. Hence the reason why we are here to just have an intimate conversation around this to help our organizations, to help ourselves as leaders of nonprofit organizations. So we started with Emma. You shared a bit of a couple of things that you've achieved going on in your organization, and then two things that you mentioned, which were challenges, well, I believe we're going to also respond to in the call, is your online office space. I'm a big fan of remote work because of the flexibility and the cost effectiveness of remote work. And I'm also encouraging nonprofits to adopt higher proportion of remote work. Even if you want to do in-person engagements, have an office space, you want to have a strong remote working structure. So you can tap into talent outside of your local geographical area. You can have all the volunteers from different areas contributing to the work that you're doing in your organization, in your online space. So we'll touch on, oh, how can we structure our remote working operations? And also you mentioned resource mobilization. Mobilization is like a general problem, everyone within a nonprofit sector. So we can look at what other creative and strategic ways can we use to generate or mobilize the resources that we need to build our organization. So Magdalene, we'll have you here. It's been a while. We had any conversation at all. Chinelo, it's also been a long time. So what's going on in your space, in your organization? Have you re-kickstarted your organization or you're still pursuing, you're still working for another nonprofit? Let's see what's going on, what you've done, as well as the challenges, because I'm going to be responding to that, providing insights to solve those problems much later in the conversation.
Good afternoon, Ma.
Good afternoon, Chidelo. How are you
Good
doing?
afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited seeing your face again. Just that
It's been a long time, yeah.
as I meet my camera. Okay, it has been awesome all these years.
Right.
Along the line, we changed our organization name
Okay.
from Unstoppable Builders to Lighthouse of Education and Transformation Initiative. And
Okay.
we got it registered. We've been doing few works with schools, the school children. I did a project with them, which we tagged Project Encounter with the student. And at the end, we had to empower those that did well with their school fees for the whole of the term, first term, second term, and third term. That was what we did with the students at the end of the project, so that at least so that they will feel our vibe that we were in their school. And after that, we've not been able to carry another project again. Along the line, it was just as if we were stuck. Don't really know what the issue is, but everything was just overwhelming. Don't know. So we ended with that project and nothing else. Just that I volunteered with an organization and it has been going well with me in that organization. And
Okay.
I don't even know to say if the volunteering work even slowed down my own aspect of organization because
Yeah.
everything was just work, 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 and no time for the organization again. And the funding aspect of it, like you will always say, it's not all about the money. It's you being smart in putting out strategic plans and work out there. So that is just it. So for now, we've not done anything again. But the registration of the organization, the changing of name, and that project we did is something that I celebrate every day because
Yes. The significant
though
milestone
it's a
for
small
you.
win, but it's a win. Yes, that is it. Thank you, ma.
You're welcome. Yeah, good to hear your voice again. It's been a while actually. Magdalene,
Good afternoon, boss.
good afternoon. Wow, you're actually freezing up, so we cannot hear what you're saying. Maybe you turn off your camera and maybe we'll be able to hear you that way. Do you want to turn off the camera and then try again if we'll be able to hear you this time? Because we can't hear anything you're saying at the moment. Right. Good afternoon, Husseini. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon, Nerat. Good to see you here. If you're able to turn on your camera, please do. I would love to see your faces. Magdalene, we can't hear you. So can you sign off and then sign back in? Turn off your camera. Maybe the network will be better at your end. Okay, so for those of us that are just joining, we're looking at building sustainable and resilient organizations. Because of, I saw that it was necessary to have a conversation around this area because of emerging issues within the sector. One of our program support officer from Strategic Outcomes is here with us. And one of the things that we have found lately in the last 2 to 3 months is that identifying grant funding opportunities that is relevant for the organizations we work with has become really, really challenging. It's as if there's some form of dryness identifying the right opportunities, meaning opportunities are shrinking. Opportunities are shrinking. At the same time, focus and the interest of funders, of stakeholders is shifting significantly to other sectors. We're not saying that there are no grants available in certain areas wherever you work. Yes, your funding opportunities changing, but we have seen that it's evolving. The way funders present these opportunities is unlike the way they used to do, where it's just a simple call for proposal. It's more, they're more looking at innovative solutions, frameworks, ideas that have been piloted, research-driven ideas, just different from the norm since the pronouncement by the US government that federal funding is being cut. Now, this means that opportunities are now more competitive. So if you used to apply for 10, 20 applications before to even make one happen, just imagine the level of work that you need to put in at the moment to be able to get grant funding. Hence the conversation around resilience. How can non-profit organizations bounce back with disruptions just like this? Because this is a very significant disruption within the sector. Money is no longer flowing as it used to be. However, there's been like more like a shift to the way nonprofits can begin to secure funding or can begin to get resources for their organizations and continue to operate. However, to make this happen, we need to make certain adjustments or certain decisions within our organizations, how we operate our organizations, the structure we are operating with, and then the kind of investments that we need to begin to do to keep the organization resilient and sustainable. Right. So this is the background of the conversation we're having today. And like I mentioned, it's an informal dialogue. So, Magdalene, if you've been able to solve that problem, can you just share with us? Let's see if you'll be audible at this time.
Good afternoon, boss. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. This is much better.
Yes. So to bust your bubbles, I don't think I've been able to solve those problems yet. But
Are you still here?
like always, I don't forget
Can anyone hear anything? Because I can't hear her.
hello, can anyone hear me?
Okay,
I can hear you now, but
we can hear you
initially,
now.
Okay. Yes.
Can no longer hear you.
So it's been because we had a fellowship. Can anyone hear me? I want to ensure that people are still hearing me.
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you
yes.
now.
So we were able to partner with an NGO in Kenya, that's IPHRD, and Peace Institute, Klingendal Peace Institute in the Netherlands. We had our first peace building fellowship that had 25 participants from across 4 countries in Africa: Uganda, South Sudan, Kenya, Nigeria, and I would say that's one of our biggest success stories because we've had feedbacks from our participants. And even though we are trying to see how we can build on that by having boot camps, because the fellowship was virtual.
Okay.
But as always, funds has been the issue because we want to streamline our thematic areas to maybe two. Basically, peace building has been one of our foundations and main purpose for starting the NGO. So we want to do more on peace
Same that
building
area.
and maybe livelihood. Yes. So 2024 we didn't really do much because I had an internship with Mercy Corps, which was a deliberate act to build my own capacity because I didn't really have much experience on peace building. I was running my master's on conflict, security, and development studies here in Nigeria, and I knew I needed all the experience I could get as a founder to understand what peace building and the various projects or the areas I could, work on. So I spent the whole of 2024 working as an intern, and it was a wonderful experience for me because I also built my capacity on budgeting. I was able to understand. Yes, I was able to understand the role of everybody. Okay, now an accountant, I know what to expect from my account officers. I know what to expect from everybody, admin officer and all that. And I was also on the field because I carried out several dialogues, as facilitated with several dialogues. So I wouldn't say I wasted. The organization was on recess for 1 year, but when I got back, I really had an in-depth understanding on how it meant to run an organization on the standard international standard level, because Mercy Corps is an international organization.
Right,
I saw how every other thing. Yes, the need for signature for every. I didn't even know that to purchase normal pen and all that needed signatures and all that. And I knew the
Okay, that's
importance
true. You did
of
not join the
having a
grant readiness
procurement
clinic.
officer.
Yeah, that's why.
Yes. So yes, understanding the role of a procurement officer and understanding that, because I was actually doing everything. I was the program officer, the admin officer, even though I had volunteers, but I was practically doing everything. I understood why I was worn out. So it's important that while we are building, knowledge on how to run our organization, I really saw why I lacked over the years, because as the founder, I really didn't understand what it meant to run a nonprofit. So I'll say it was more of a learning journey for me. This year, I'm currently not working. My internship is over. So I spent January till now trying to apply for grants and also looking out for collaborations, even though I've not really been pushing myself as I used to, because I understand that I just don't want to do any kind of project as I used to before. Then if it's menstrual hygiene, I'm there. If it's education, I'm there, and all that. So now I'm being specific about programs I really want to work on, or organizations I want to work with, or individuals I would love to partner with. So I would say the last 1 year plus has been more of a learning experience for me and building my capacity as the founder of my organization. Thank you so much, Bas.
Great. I'm really happy for you because you got the opportunity to get into the field and then see how it is done. These internships are not so common, especially with international organizations. The opportunities, they are not lying about everywhere. But when you get that opportunity to be able to get in there, you get to understand things very practically, how you're running your organization. So I will be looking forward to see the things you implement, as they take out from your internship experience, how you're going around building your organization. Great. So Husseini, are you with us? I can see your camera isn't connected, but if you can hear me, just turn on your mic and just say hello so we can know you're here. Hello, Ruth. Good. Now, there are very critical things that you all mentioned as you were sharing your journey, what you've done before. Like I mentioned before, resource mobilization remains a critical problem, a critical challenge, as all of you have stated. But one of the things I want to talk about, which is also critical to building resilient organizations or sustainable organizations. First, let's lay the background. What does it mean for an organization to be resilient and sustainable? This is something that you can even Google or ask ChatGPT and you get a straightforward answer. But simply put, we can only say that your organization is sustainable when it can continue to deliver on its mission. Not that you're going for internship, the organization has gone off radar, or you need to do your master's program, you got a scholarship, a Commonwealth scholarship, you need to go to the UK for master's, or you need to travel to Canada for a program, and then your organization can no longer function because you're not there as the leader or as the founder. So sustainability is more of continuity. The organization is able to continue to run. The organization is able to continue to deliver on its mission, whatever your mission is, whether you're there to improve the economic capacity of communities, you're doing economic empowerment, or you're trying to keep children in school, off the streets, whatever it is that you're doing as your core focus, as a mission, as an organization, we can only say that that organization is sustainable when it's able to continue to deliver on its mission despite disruptions or certainties, risks, or challenges that the organization may be facing or that may be happening across the sector. That's what sustainability means. You can continue to deliver that mission. Then resilience, on the other hand, is your ability as an organization will connect it back to sustainability to continue to function and adapt to disruptions towards certainties. And I made a deliberate decision to focus anytime we're having any conversation at all, when we have the opportunity to come and share like this, it's going to focus on these two things: sustainability and resilience. Now, I want us to understand that sustainability is a journey. An organization may show the indicators of being sustainable this year, 2025, and by 2027, that organization is dead. So it's not a destination where we have come to, yes, we're sustainable and we would continue to be sustainable. It's a journey. It's always evolving. The same thing with resilience. You can show the signs of resilience. COVID came when COVID happened 5 years ago, because I think that was the time that we all, most of us here, connected. Because of COVID, the rise of digital economy, digital learning, digital business brought all of us together. Now, when COVID happened, it brought a lot of disruption to a lot of things, because for 1 year, the world stood still. A lot of businesses died. A lot of organizations, non-profit organizations, closed shop. And at the same time, new organizations were birthed. So at that moment, organizations that could pride in their sustainability or pride in their resilience were no longer sustainable or resilient. They were dead in 2020, 2021. To show you that this is a journey, is something that we need to continue to focus on, something we need to begin to continue to work on and build on year in, year out, to ensure that we would continue to deliver our mission as an organization. Now, if we look at the category of organizations we have in our community, many of you are all, I could classify you as startups. Either you started your organization 5 years ago, even if it's more than 5 years, it's still a small organization, it's still growing, the reach is still limited and all that. And the challenges you're dealing with is also significant, even as a startup. And now I want us to look at, in becoming resilient or in becoming sustainable, there are certain critical areas of our organizations that we need to focus on. A lot of times we focus heavily on programs, program activity. Like Chinelo, when you were sharing, you talked about, oh, the program you did, and after then you went to volunteer in another organization. You were feeling stuck at some point. The root cause of that problem is that you were focusing primarily on the program alone, and other aspects of your organization's survival or organization's existence did not get enough attention. So in looking at, so that you can have balance as you are growing the organization, the nonprofit, the enterprise, as you are growing, you are not just focusing on one area and allowing other critical areas to suffer. Programs is just but one part of what you're doing as a leader or as a founder. Program is just like for a business, the product. You focus on only the product, the business is dead on arrival, because you're not paying attention to marketing, to sales, to your community engagement, to your brand building. No, you're just focusing on the product, what we are producing, or the service that we're delivering. And then every other thing, you don't pay attention to them. So looking at a framework, a simple framework to building sustainability, building our capacity to be sustainable as an organization or to be resilient, I want us to look at leadership, strategic clarity. Unfortunately, there's no slide because I said it was going to be a dialogue. It's not like a training per se, but just giving us things to think through and to have discussions around. The leadership of your organization, having strategic clarity as a nonprofit, structure, and then engagement. In fact, they are much more than this, but I just tried as much as possible. Let's compartmentalize it into areas we can manage, areas that we can take action on, areas that we can focus on. Leadership, thank you for putting that there, Magdalene. So in the comments, you can see punchlines. Magdalene has volunteered to be our rapporteur. So we're talking about leadership, strategic clarity, structure, and engagement. I deliberately am not putting programs there because when we're talking about leadership, we'd also touch on some of the things looking at around programs. But these are very four critical areas of your organization as a non-profit entity. You must be working around these four areas continuously to be able to become sustainable, and also become resilient. Now, when we're talking about leadership, because you are a small organization, it will usually revolve around you as the founder. It will revolve around you as if you're the president of the organization, or maybe you're a co-founder, you had two people come together to set up the nonprofit. Leadership now has to do with you and how you are deliberately creating the environment that will support growth. Now, you as the founder of the organization, and then the people that you're working with within your organization. Most of the time, given the phase where you are right now and the resources that are available to you, it will primarily be more of volunteers. So you have volunteers that help support your programs, help make activities run smoothly and take up burden from you. So they may not be paid employees and they may not be able to provide the full involvement, engagement within the organization as though they were paid salaries. But for some of us that also have paid employees, this is very critical. Whether your organization is able to grow or not, it depends on you as the founder and your leadership in leading the people you're working with and also leading the communities that you support. And that's why leadership is connected with strategic
But I thought the
clarity.
extension, then should I bring this so that we'll
I
use
would
it?
need to mute
Oh,
you
you're not
carefully.
connected. Since this
Right. So leadership would also be connected to strategic clarity because for some of you that some years ago, I think in 2021, you attended strategic planning retreat also. I want us to go back to that conversation. Chinelo made mention of something when she was sharing. She did a program at a point she felt stuck. She went to volunteer with another organization. And then throughout this year also, you said you've not been able to do any project. There's a problem of strategic clarity there. Though you've tried to streamline to focus on what you want to do, but there's a problem of strategic clarity. Now, for all of us in this room, I want you to put in the comment area the areas that you're working with. So I'll take for the next 2-3 minutes, put in the comment section what you do in your organization, your thematic areas. For the next 2 minutes, just put it in the comment section. I have a call from a hospital. I need to address it. Apologies. But for the next 2 minutes, what are you doing in your organization? Your program areas, your thematic areas. Just put them in the comment section for the next 2 minutes. Put in the chat area what you do. Right. So how many do we have? We have just two. So can we all do this? Apologies, I had to take the call. I've been pursuing a hospital appointment for some weeks now, and they just called, so I couldn't let it go. Right. So, Ruth, what's your thematic area? You've applied for grants, you keep getting rejected, but for the past 3 years, you collaborated and joined a female-led business group, serious traction. Why you focused on farming? Okay, you may want to share this. Can you unmute your mic and just share this? Provide more context. While the rest of us, Catherine, Chinelo, Magdalene, you put your thematic areas in the chat area. We're talking about strategic clarity and also its connection with leadership. Right, Ruth, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to hear your voice again after some time, Rookie. Um, after the strategic training that time, which was very impactful because it has guided me in a whole lot of things. I have written a whole lot of applications for grants, and it has been focused in the areas of agriculture, climate change, but some of them comes back, with the rejection.
Yeah.
And then in the course of that, I met with a female who is so passionate about agriculture as well.
Yeah.
And she has been running several cooperatives within Nigeria. So we partnered and formed the cooperative Apex based on agriculture and agribusiness. And for the past 2 years, in fact, we are just 1 year, we had to come together with our own primary cooperative society. We collaborated and then got the requirements for registering a cooperative Apex nationally. Okay. And we did that successfully in June 19th last year, 2024. So we are barely 1 year old. She is from the oil sector. Okay. And she has a whole lot of knowledge in the oil sector. We're trying to see how we can take the agri sector from the informal to the formal sector. And then our mandate is about training, empowerment of the female-led group, and then equally involve persons living with disabilities. So we've gained a whole lot of traction. Why I'm saying so is that there are several, because she's in the oil sector, she knows a lot of persons.
Yeah.
And we have been able to get some deals from certain agencies, which I don't want to mention the name.
Yeah, it's fine.
But that collaboration has worked for me. And in the process of working together, I'm learning a whole lot, some of which I'm applying in my own private organization.
Yeah.
And then I have my own farms that are ongoing in various states, about 3 states in Nigeria, the FCT, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State. So it has worked for me so far. So I'm happy. While I'm open to other strategic learning that will help me leverage on probably future applications and then getting grants and further taking my own company to another level.
Right. Right. Thank you for sharing that, and congratulations on the progress you've made so far. So one of the things I want to let us know, because some of the comments here and in passing conversation we've had so far is that you've making lots of grant applications with rejections. The same thing with also my team, some of the applications that we're making for clients. I'll come back to this and see one of the key reasons why project proposals will fail. Even if the project, you've written it very well, the idea is very sound, there are other deciding factors aside what you've put together, the program you're proposing. There are other indicators that the funder will also look at to make a decision to see if you're a good fit or not. The time is very short today. That's why we want to make this regular, the quarterly meetings regular, and then we can have deeper conversations. Now, One Tribe, you've put your thematic areas here. Amandla Foundation. I'll scroll up a bit. Amanda Foundation, you've put it here. So for you, Chinelo, you're looking at education, skills empowerment, and then mentorship. Mentorship is not a thematic area. It's just an approach to delivering your programs. You can do mentorship across agribusiness, across climate change, across hygiene, wash, different things. So mentorship on its own cannot be regarded as a thematic area. It's just a delivery, just like training. You can train, you can coach, you can mentor, you can provide implementation support, but in itself, it cannot be a thematic area. So you have education, skills empowerment, and then one tribe, you have peace building, health, economic empowerment, and education. And I'll tell you the reason why I asked for your thematic area, to see that, to show you all that you are pursuing too many things at this stage. You're spreading yourself so thin, so you cannot really show mastery in one or two critical areas for your organization. And so this is going to affect your credibility as an organization, is going to affect the quality of your grant applications, as well as the way funders see you. Because it's a small organization, you cannot gain mastery across these four, and they are distinctly different. Education is very different from economic empowerment or economic development. And then healthcare, peace building. It's only very large organizations that have the manpower, and not just anyhow manpower, highly qualified manpower that can pull this off. So one of the critical things we would need to do after this meeting is to go and streamline maximum of 2 areas. You cannot function effectively, especially when it's just you as the founder, and then you have a few volunteers working with you. I would even say 1 area, so that you can have focus, strategic focus, and just grow and build in that area, gain mastery, become a prominent brand in that area, whether at the local level, at the state level, or at the national level. Just like Ruth, you're focusing on agribusiness. Agribusiness, you can do agribusiness, agricultural development with climate change, because these two go hand in hand. Climate significantly impacts on agriculture. Agriculture also has its own impact on climate change. So we can focus on agriculture, and environmental sustainability is fine. But Magdalene, one tribe, we can't have these 4 areas: peace building, health, economic development, and education. Pick 2. And in making the decision of picking where to focus on, you want to look at your track record and your expertise. And this goes for all of us. I'm not just singling out Magdalene here or Chinelo. We know that there are many things going on across the communities where you work, but you need to come to that consciousness that you cannot solve all the problems. This is one reason that also impacts your sustainability and your resilience as an organization. Because today you will deliver programs in education, tomorrow you cannot, you are then doing economic, you can't get sustainability that way. You cannot become sustainable or resilient that way. That's one way to kill the organization, because you will experience burnout, you will be frustrated, and you can just give up and say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So you want to make a key decision to streamline. This goes for all of us. Maximum of 2 focus areas. Maximum. And for you to decide where you need to focus on, you need to look at your technical expertise as the leader of the organization, because most of the ideation, the innovation, the direction will come from you. And that's why I said the framework to building resilience and sustainability, the first thing is leadership. And now we can see how strategic clarity connects back to that leadership. Where you want to play is very critical. Please focus on 2 areas only. And these 2 areas should be where you have technical expertise, verifiable, practical, not that you went to do just one course somewhere. This should be the intersection of your academic qualification, the work experience you've had before, the work you've been doing, where you've been volunteering. You have practical hands-on expertise that solves problems, that creates solutions within this area. If you cannot show that you have demonstrable, verifiable expertise, you have no business working in that thematic area. You have no business doing anything there. You now have to take out time to begin to build competencies in that area. But you need to streamline and bring it down to 2. For some of us, it may just be 1, and you are building in that area. So the next, just 2 things to guide you to make a decision at the end of today where you want to play. I've talked about the technical expertise. The second thing is the track record you already have, your existing track record. For those of you that have 4 areas, 5 areas, 3, the 3, they don't have equal track record or equal traction, like Ruth put it. You don't have equal traction, equal impact story, or the depth of work you've done so far. There is one that would always stand out to say, yes, this is where we are really getting results. This is where we have done more work. This is where we're really seeing impact within the community where you're working. So when you review these 2 things, your technical expertise and your track record that you have been able to achieve over time, it will give you clarity on the areas you need to pick and focus on. For some of you, it just has to be one area, one thematic area. For others, you can then choose a complementary area. Like for you, Magdalene, where you mentioned peace building, we know that one critical driver of conflict is resources. Either communities or stakeholders are fighting for maybe land or economic resources. That's one of the most critical driver of conflict. And where young people become tools or actors in conflict is because of their economic vulnerability. So it's easy to radicalize them, to become pawns, and to become key players in the context of conflict. So it's okay to want to do livelihoods as well. So you give conflict actors alternatives. So we're empowering you economically so that you're more constructively engaged. You don't have to now become vulnerable to extremist agenda. So you can do your peace building and livelihood, because livelihood is a critical driver for peace. So it's fine. But every other thing, just knock it off. Knock it off at the moment so you can have a focus and you can channel your time, your resources to really build and grow in this area. Now, I'll just see some of the other things that we put in here. Education, skills, empowerment, one tribe, the same thing. Climate smart agriculture. Okay. Great. So we've just touched a bit around leadership. Now, for those of you that have volunteers, I'm still talking about, because I also have volunteers and I have paid staff. So in leadership, the thing is, you are the one that is solely responsible as a young organization, as a founder, to set a clear agenda and direction for your nonprofit. For those of you, or everyone here has attended either one coaching program or one course with me at one point or the other. And I always emphasize that the focus of what you're doing as an organization is not the activity, project activities, but is the outcome that we are trying to shape. Still touching on strategic clarity. If you feel stuck somehow, or at some point in your journey, you felt stuck and you're like, you don't know what to do, that's because you have lost strategic clarity. It's not clear what you are trying to create for the communities, for the groups that you're working with. And that's why your well of creativity has dried up. Because you were focusing on, oh, I think we should do a webinar, or I think we should do community outreach, or we should do street work. No. So all of us here, I'm not saying, oh, go back and go and create a full-blown strategic plan. That might become a burden to us and then overwhelm us. You want to just sit with one piece of paper. Now you have decided on the 1 or maximum 2 areas you want to focus on going forward, to build on, to become resilient, to become sustainable as an organization. 1, maximum 2. You've made that decision clearly. Now, the second thing you want to decide on is, within this area, what is the strategic outcome? You'll be hearing a lot of strategic happening, because that's what having a clear direction, clear focus, and every other thing withdraw from it. So you want to be clear. What's the focus? What's the outcome? One clear outcome that we can say within this area, peace building or conflict mitigation, this is what we are driving at. This will be the North Star, the very clear one thing, the purpose, the mission, whatever you want to call it. But it needs to be as clear, as detailed as possible. You know why you need to do this? I'll put the question to us. Why do you all think it's critical to define clearly what this outcome will be in your journey as a nonprofit leader or trying to build resilient and sustainable organizations? Why do you think it's very clear to have this clearly outlined, this strategic outcome? So I want us to open our mic. Now, we have about 8 other people and then me making it 9 or 10 here. So why do you think it's very important to define what this is, to write it down, frame it on a piece of paper? Why do you think it's critical to do this?
Can I just share my
Yes,
thought top of
please.
my head?
Yeah.
For clarity, direction. So when somebody has a sense of direction and clarity, it makes things easier and knows how to move forward to avoid the feeling of being stuck. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Anybody else? You have something in addition to what Emma has just said?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I think it also helps in guiding us in designing the programs and activities for our organizations, even when they are not there, whoever is managing the organization to understand the main purpose of why the organization is there and the aims and objectives of the organization.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Husseini, I've not heard your voice. Are you still here?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm here.
Good afternoon.
So I think for me, it has to do with the vision of the organization because at the end of the day, every one of us has a particular dream that we want to attain while setting up the organization. So to attain that particular vision, that's why we need a strategy or going back to our plan.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to hear your voice, Husseini, after a long time. Nana, do you want to share with us?
For me, it's Chinelo.
Yeah, Chinelo, go ahead.
For me, I think it will help us to be focused and not be distracted. When we are moving out of line, we'll be able to call ourselves back and say, no, this is not it. We are not going out of it. And it will also help us to know exactly what we want and what we don't want.
Yeah. So it protects you, prevents mission creep or scope creep. You see how some of you ended up with 5 thematic area. Is mission creep. Maybe you started and said, oh, we'll just do economic empowerment, we'll support women, train them, empower them. Before you know it, these women started asking for maybe sanitary pads or asking for free eye tests, and you were responding to everything, even though it was outside of your scope. Every day, I have organizations asking some questions or saying, we need this service, we need that. And I've made it as a point of duty to reject business deals that do not align with my focus right now. Now, with time, you may begin to evolve, you know, how you want to present yourself as an organization. But at every point in time of your journey, you need to be very clear, crystal clear and detailed about your focus. Whether you want to call it your mission statement, vision statement, I'm just trying to not be conventional, because if I tell you, put you all on a pathway to go and create a full-blown strategic plan and all of that, you will be stuck and nobody will do anything. So on a piece of paper, you've defined the 2 things you want to focus on based on expertise and the track record that you've been able to build so far. The next thing is, within these 2 areas, what is the outcome we're pushing for? Which more like, what is your mission? Be as detailed as possible. And the lenses through which you want to see this thing from is not the activities you want to do. We're not talking about mentorship at this point. We're not talking about training at this point. That's not what you're talking about. We're talking about the new reality that your work as a non-profit organization, all the things that you will do on a day-to-day basis, the main thing that all of these things will contribute to, the new reality, the new experience for the communities that you would support. Now, this is a statement. You can be as detailed as write it up to half of the page. Just describe it. It becomes the outcome, the focus for your organization. For those of you that struggle with being stuck at some point or the other, not knowing what to do part-time, this statement will now become a filter to making decisions as what project activities can I do at the moment. Now, there's just a lot to unpack, but I just hope that we're able to take 1, 2, 3 actions out of this meeting to focus on for the next 3 months before we convene again. You do these 2 things. Now, it's going to influence your volunteers, your choice of people that you want to get along with you on your journey to building your organization. It helps you determine whether the volunteers you currently have, or let me just not just box it into a corner to say volunteers, but your team members. It will give you an indication whether you have the right people working with you at the moment, whether they have the mindset or the skills that can contribute to making that outcome happen. So it becomes a filter for even the partnerships you want to build. Who should you be having conversations with to be able to build collaborations? The reason why we struggle around this area is a lack of strategic clarity. I want you all to normalize that. Normalize the reality that you cannot solve all the problems in your community. And so pick 1 or 2 maximum problems that you will focus on. You will do it and do it well and build depth in that area. Because a lack of depth is the reason why a lot of non-profit organizations are struggling with funding, why some seem to be going away with all the resources available. It is depth. You're struggling to build partnerships, struggling to get sponsors. Why there are organizations that are even rejecting sponsors, saying that we don't have the manpower to do all these things that you're asking us to do as a sponsor. I've just got off the call with one of my clients. It's a very big non-profit brand in Nigeria. Solely, they are fully sponsored by corporate brands. In fact, there are some cases where she would say she just outrightly have to tell some banks or some organizations that they can't support their CSR at the moment. Why? There are people struggling to get one sponsorship. These organizations has a lot of, when they say depth in that women empowerment work they're doing. Just one thing. But it's a result of time, compounding effect when you are focused on that one key thing that you're so good at. Now you're doing work in agribusiness, Ruth, using you as a case study. You're doing work in agribusiness consistently. You will, over a time period of 5 years, 10 years, you build compounding effect. Over 10 years, over 5 years, you see that you may have empowered 5,000 farmers. It makes your proposal stronger, your justification stronger. When the funder is trying to understand who you are, what you bring to the table. Now, the problem is, in the application process or in the proposal process, we can tell the funder brilliant ideas, brilliant projects we want to do. But one deciding factor, very critical deciding factor that differentiates all these applicants, differentiates everybody, is the track record that you have. 5 organizations can propose the same idea or something similar, try to solve the problem. But one of the key deciding factors is, who are you as an organization? What have you done? And so when they look at that aspect of your document and see that you lack depth in this area, you lack credibility in this area, the proposal is as good as gone. And so in this season, you want to then focus on building that depth that you are talking about. So you're focusing on peace building. We don't want to see that you did dialogue in 1 or 2 communities. You just held 2 dialogues with 10 people, and it's not going to go anywhere. But it takes time to build this, but consistency in the little efforts, the little things you're doing. That's why I said you need to be crystal clear. This is the focus of the organization. One thing, preferably one. This is the one thing we want to be known for. This is the one solution we want to bring, and this is what we're working on. That's how you build depth. And then you are documenting, keeping track of your progress as you're going on, because it all feeds into building your case for the funder. So in the framework, in building sustainability, building resilient organization, we looked at leadership, we looked at strategic direction and strategic clarity, and then looking at not leadership, structure and engagement. So quickly, I'll just touch on these two things so that we can finalize on the resolutions, that these are the things that we are going to be doing for the next 3 months, and we can reconvene and hold ourselves accountable. It's clear for the first two things. Now let's talk about structure. When Magdalene, you were sharing from your experience going to volunteer with Mercy Corps, and then you got to understand how a nonprofit is supposed to be structured. For some of you here, we had a grant readiness workshop last year. You joined the workshop. Emma, you joined the workshop. Ruth, you joined the workshop. I think Nenna, you joined the workshop. I just want you to share briefly, what have you done in terms of implementing all of the processes that we told you it's critical for you to be grant ready? What have you done in terms of implementation? Yes.
Okay, for me, you talked particularly about us having a proper structure.
Yes.
So some of the forms that you sent online, it acted as a guide, because I now was able to, however minute the finances are that we expend, we were able to account for each and every finances. We kept proper records. We monitored progress, like in terms of our women, the ones that we empowered. We monitored progress to see how the crops are doing, because even the ones that we engaged in farm production, we just had a land and then brought in the women, like a cluster kind of farming, and then gave them like small portions of the land to be able to maintain. So all of those are in our records. We have videos, we have pictures, we have harvest, all of those information. I think that's the only thing that I have done differently. Before now, I was moving money from my corporate account to my personal account to expend. So now, even if it's 1,000 naira that goes into expenses for the farm production, I make sure it goes to the proper channel.
Okay.
So that if I'm asked to
structure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Right, Nana. I've not heard your voice. How are you doing? Can you hear me? Rukayat, so if we've not heard your voice before, just say hello and then share with us what's been going on in your organization. Rukayat, are you here? Right. So in looking at structure is not just, because one of the things that would, maybe one of the first things you may assume when we say structure is, oh, your registration, you've gone to register the organization and all of that. So in structure, we're also looking at process, which some of you are now familiar with. You're familiar with, oh, you need to have financial processes. You need to be documenting all your expenses. You need to be documenting as you're implementing your projects. You need to be writing reports. That's important. But today, I just want to focus on the people side of structure. So Nena says, thank you, you're in transit. Oh, I missed it. Since the training, you started keeping a good account statement, have completed your documentation, and you've tried applying for grant. That's good. Well done. So we'll look at the people side of structure. And then remember that the theme of our dialogue series, as we continue to engage, is on sustainability and resilience. How do we build an organization that is sustainable and resilient? How do we ensure that our nonprofit continues to deliver on its mission? Now, if you're not an expert business per se, like what I do, so for my organization, if you take me out at the moment, then there's no strategic, because it has to do with my skill set, my expertise, and then the staff team members that we have are supportive staff to be able to ensure that we're able to serve our customers, we're able to serve our clients. So if I'm out of the picture, because it's an expert business, it's a knowledge-based business, I'm the key person within it. But that is not the way a non-profit should be structured, because a non-profit per se does not revolve around you only as the founder or as the key person. You are just the pioneer. You have started a movement, or you have initiated a solution to a problem. And so the organization needs to grow in its capacity, and that's where people come into place. Now, we all here, in the comments, I just want you to drop how many people do you have within your organization? That is you, your volunteers, people that you can call on. Maybe you have a project activity, they can come in to support, maybe support mobilization, administrative tasks, or even in delivery, in terms of training, delivery, facilitation, report writing. They like what you do, the support. So including volunteers, even paid employees, and yourself, who are actively operating the organization, working in the organization. Just put a number in the chat area. Let's just have a feel of the size of your team in terms of people within your organization. Just give us a number in the chat area. How many are you? So you have 4, Chinelo, right? Just drop numbers, absolute figures. How many do you have there working with you? Your organization is people. So all of the things we're saying about strategic clarity, direction, structure, process, without people, it will not work. It's dead on arrival, because an organization is made up of people. Organization is not the strategic plan or your mission statement and all that. Those are elements of the brand that you're building. But primarily, an organization is the people that are there, because it is people that drive that vision. It is people that drive that strategic outcome that you have defined. Oh, we're building a community of women that are economically empowered, that they're able to cater for themselves, that are resilient, or that are not susceptible or vulnerable to sexual violence. Whatever you put in your document, that 1-page document, whatever you put in that, whether it's 2-3 lines, but as very detailed as possible, it is people that will create that new reality for the communities you're working with, whether they are staff, whether they are volunteers, whether it's you or whatever supporters, whatever you want to call them. It is people. So people these are an essential part of your structure as an organization. And for us to become sustainable, it is also largely dependent on how we are engaging and harnessing the talent that is within the team, within the people that you have in your nonprofit. If you're still feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling drained, you're feeling stuck as the founder, as the leader, and you have people with you, that means is that you're not exploring that resource that you have maximally. You're not leveraging on it enough to be able to relieve the burden from you and to be able to grow the organization the way you should. And so Nana, you have 4, Emma 4, Ruth, you have 8 people, Zenny 3, about 50 volunteers, 3 staff, 50 volunteers. Beautiful. So we have people. Your organization is the people that are there, the collective. So if a funder maybe applying for grant, and a funder has asked you about your expertise as an organization or your capacity as an organization, beyond the things that the organization has achieved in the field, the impact you have made, the collective expertise, talent, skills of the people in your team, so both staff, volunteers, everybody, also makes up your expertise as an organization. So if these diverse skills, you are not using them maximally to feed into this one core focus thing that you have defined that you're doing, then sustainability is still far. Because at the moment, everything is 100% solely relying on you for things to move. All the ideas for programs, the implementation, everything is around you. That's a big risk to sustainability. Because if you decide to pivot tomorrow, if you decide to take up a job somewhere or relocate somewhere, the organization is as good as dead. The organization is as good as dead. So what do we do with the people? This is where, and for some of you that still have access to the toolkit, you attended the grant readiness workshop. You see that this year I've been adding 1 or 2 documents for the last 6 months or so, new things, adding it to the toolkit. There's a project documentation policy that I created late last year and also uploaded. So you just want to check and see there's some new stuff in there for you to use. Now, you need to be engaging with your people using that particular document that you have created. Like I said, make it as simple as possible. It's just a few lines. And then let them see hear their ideas, hear their suggestion, and what personally they can do, they want to do and lead in contribution to that outcome that the organization is focused on achieving. You want to build a people, your team, beyond just, oh, take this to go and do. You've just delegated tasks to them, go and write this report or whatever. Because your community, your staff, your volunteers, they have specific expertise, experience, even working in the local community where you are, that can bring valuable insights into your project proposal, into the way you're designing programs, even mobilizing resources for your nonprofit organization. So when we're looking at structure, I'll also come back to respond to the request from Emma. You talked about having an online workspace. One of the challenges with managing your people may be that, oh, we don't have a physical office space. So we only see during events, or we only, in the WhatsApp group, we're only planning for program activities. Maybe you have an outreach, you have a training to do. And so we're just having conversations around maybe buying things, getting people to facilitate sessions and all of that. And that's how it ends. We don't have the opportunity to bring our ideas together to be able to grow the organization. So in solving that problem, because that a physical space should not be a problem. That's why these days we have softwares, we have platforms that you can use to really build engagement with your people and drive them to really feed the organization's vision. So for you, Emma, I want you to look at Trello. So I think the rest of you also find this resource valuable, especially when you have a lot of volunteers, you have team members, and you want them to be able to have interactions or make work easier, flow easily. Because WhatsApp group, when you put things in WhatsApp, comments, messages may get lost over time. But on a software, on a project management software, it's more like a virtual office space, because within the software, you can create different components within the software. You can create trackers to see how initiatives are being completed or how activities are being implemented. You can have conversations under different components so that you can manage or coordinate things better in a remote workforce. And the thing is, even in physical offices today, that have offices or organizations that have physical offices, they still have these platforms to organize work and to coordinate work, because you just can't be saying things in passing or just using email. You need to have more like repositories or platforms where things can get organized and coordinated. And one of the tools, the free tool, if you have a small team of 10 and below, you can use the free version. It's called Trello. Some of us may have used it before or may be familiar with it. It's a project management software. So use this tool to organize your people, your team, and then in engaging with them, the tasks that you're delegating to them, You can even have meetings. So for us, okay, you're using monday.com, Husseini, that's nice, monday.com. So there's also Asana. But it all depends. For me, I use Trello because it's a small team. We are four, and then I used Google. I integrated Google with it as well. So things like documentation, we're still using normal Google Drives, but all creating links and connecting everything back to the software, the interface. So just the way you would open Facebook on your laptop or on a tablet or a phone, that's the way you still open just the way you open your email as well. That's the way you still open the software. So you have an interface. You can create it as you see, please have different tables on it. You can watch a YouTube video. There's very short YouTube videos where you can quickly learn to see how you can use this software to organize work within your organization. So Hussein, you have even gone far. You're using monday.com for that. So Trello is Trello. I did put it in the chat area. Free version for Trello is you can only do with a size of 10. So your team members, your key team members can be the one using that to organize work, process, workflows, keep track of project implementation and all of that, whatever you want to use it with. So let either be that it's not, oh, we don't have an office where we are meeting. We don't have an office that is making you not to harness the talents you have within your team. That should not be an excuse. Once you have a video conferencing tool, Zoom, yes, we know that Zoom is paid for, but Google, what's it called again? Google Meet is free. You have a Gmail account, Google Meet is free. Have meetings with your people. And as a leader, going back to leadership in setting the direction for your organization, you need to ask the right questions. Learn how to ask questions within your team that will bring insights and ideas to drive that agenda that you have. Do not think that just because you're the founder of the organization, everything has to rest with you in terms of bringing ideas, bringing solutions, bringing initiatives. No, your team also makes a critical part of your organization's existence and your organization's potential for sustainability. So use this platform, organize your work, have meetings, and keep asking, are we veering off course? Are we on course with this strategic vision that we have, or the strategic outcome that we're trying to change, to shape? What more can we do? What can we do for our communities? Low cost, because I know the next thing that you'll be thinking in your mind is money. And like I said before, a couple of years ago, let's not just look at it from, finance perspective, because the thing that you need money for, when we're looking for money for projects, we're looking for grants for projects, is because there are certain resources that you want to procure to be able to deliver the project. So you want to, if you're looking at our staff salaries, volunteers are there for those of you that have committed volunteers and they will just support. So it takes off that cost from the project. You're looking for refreshments and all of these things are resources or inputs to the project. And so sometimes we just look at, we need money to make this happen. And then where can we get money? Then we become stuck. We become overburdened, overwhelmed, and we forget about the vision entirely. But you want to look at it from a perspective of resources. So where can we get the resource to make this project happen? Can we get someone who would be magnanimous enough to do the training in support of our organization's vision instead of just looking for money to pay a consultant? Can we have this service for free or as the support in support for the project or for the organization's vision? You want to look at resource mobilization. There are many things that partnerships, collaborations would help you do. Not just one-sided partnership where the person is only supporting you, but you can have mutually beneficial partnerships where you are also serving that other organization using your skills or whatever you have, whatever they will need part-time. So when you're building these partnerships or building collaborations, you want to see it as two-way, where you're also contributing to that organization's agenda just the way they are. So these are some of the decisions that on a day-to-day basis, week in, week out, we need to be taking and also implementing to be able to build that organization we're talking about, an organization that is sustainable, an organization that is resilient, right? So we would reconvene in 3 months, and then I would want us to make it like just holding ourselves accountable. In the last 3 months, what did we do? So did we streamline? Did we get clear on the focus as an organization? Some of the things that you would need to do is to just stop some programs, even if you're already implementing, especially when these programs are cost drivers. If you are implementing programs that are not really in alignment with your focus as an organization, so those things drain you. It's draining you of resources, it's draining your time, it's draining your mental energy, draining your money, because it's not going to help you build the depth that we're talking about. So if, for example, as a brand, Smartegic, and I wake up, I'm saying I'm teaching marketing, I'm teaching branding masterclass, it takes me away from the core competence, the core focus we're building as a brand, which is grant funding readiness and then sustainability. So you will see that you have done so many things, but these things don't really matter to the core of your organization's mission. Now, this dialogue was meant to be like an hour long, but now we've gone on to spend an hour, 30 minutes. So in closing, I just want to hear comments, questions, or feedback from all of us that are here today. And because this will also feed into the conversation for the next dialogue that's going to be holding in 3 months. So thank you for everyone who showed up. I really appreciate, but I really want to hear comments, questions, feedback, and then we'll close finally for this afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon.
Yeah, hello, Zeni.
Sorry, my camera is not working. I've tried, So, thank you very much for this opportunity. And it's just, for me, it's a bit sad that my strategic document that I created then, I can say I only follow maybe 10% of it. And it's because like there are so many activities that I personally have been involved in. But for the organization itself, one key thing that happened was that we were not really organized then, and we sort of like we're just looking for, let me say, easy way out for our activities. But along the line, we were able to start a particular program which has to do with maybe free eye care for children in schools, and even to the extent that we got an award from the US consulate. And he also got some funding for that particular project. But in reality, it was not directly mentioned in my strategy documents. And I can say that's the project we currently have like a track record on.
Yeah.
One of the key things that we want to do in this second quarter is to have like a sort of maybe a strategic meeting again, where we get experts on board and we try and see how, because now all the team members are requesting that let's sit down, let's know what we are doing for the next 5 years. And so part of it is that we want to, for this next 3 months, because you're asking that what do we want to do next, is the number we want to have this strategic.
So you need a strategic planning retreat. So that document you did in 2021. So the thing is, strategic plans are organisms. So it's not concrete that does not change. So now that you've gone into the field and the activities of life, I've just made you realize that, oh, we need to focus more here. Or by chance, by providence, you have now focused on eye care for children. You have to review, have a fresh strategic plan based on the current reality, current expertise that you have. So you just redo your whole strategic plan and this time focus, because that one we did that, and there are many things you wanted to do now. There are many things you wanted to do. So you can now focus, have, like your team said, have a strategic planning retreat. Yes, it could be days, it could be weeks, to say, okay, based on our engagement with our communities, the engagement with the population, the groups that we serve, the needs that we have identified that aligns with our mission as an organization. For the next 5 years, this is what we want to do. You can focus on only one program for the next 5 years and say that we're going to, for the next 5 years, cumulatively, we're going to serve maybe 100 local government. Or cumulatively for the next 5 years, we're looking at 50,000 children. And it's the same service, high impact service, that you're using to support this for the next 5 years. It doesn't have to be too much, too many things. All right. Sorry, I cut you short. Go ahead, Lucini.
Okay, so basically you said all what I was planning that okay we would want to do in this second quarter so that we have like a new focus on what we are doing. So
Right.
since we that we have strength in this particular area, we have medical team that really committed for carrying out the exercise. We have volunteers that are dedicated to it. We have resources. Funding for the project is a bit easy because it doesn't have to do with a lot of funding. So it's not easy, and it's a problem. So it's a problem that people are not aware of.
Yes.
Because again, it has to do with children and the fact that okay, you can see so many medical outreaches outside there, but majorly most of them are usually for elders, women,
Elderly. Yes. So you're
and
meeting a very critical
so
need.
for children, it's something that is not really done outside there. So it's something that we plan to focus on,
Yes.
and hopefully we will have the strategic traits, and
Yes.
hopefully we can invite you.
And if you want to hire me as your facilitator, you just
No
you
problem.
send me a message and let's talk business.
Let's start. Yes, thank
So
you.
you see that you see why you said I like the fact when you said funding has now become easy because there's not too much competition here. You identify the critical gap before people will so much understand, oh, children, you've built so much credibility and track record in this area that even when they send proposals, you still be the top one of the top of organizations that they would pick because track record is there. So keep building. Congratulations on what you've achieved so far. 3 months time, and now I'm going to hear much more from you. All right. So who else wants to share comments, questions as we wrap up? We're meeting again in 3 months. So let's hear your comments. Margaret,
Mine is to say thank
go
you.
ahead,
Sorry.
Emma. Yeah.
Okay. So mine is to say thank you. This has been a refocus meeting and a meeting that reinforces that the work we do or we keep doing will accumulate eventually.
Yeah.
And non-profit sector has okay, we need proof of consent and impact, and that takes time. So it's work before reward.
Yeah.
And this has reinforced the fact that whatever we're doing is relevant and we need to continue at it. And so thank you so much. This was very timely. I was hoping that this will be monthly as opposed to quarterly. But thank you so much for setting out your time and sharing it with us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I appreciate you and looking to now let's work and have better things and bigger things to report in our next quarter meeting. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Monthly at the moment, when we're doing coaching sessions, it was strategic full time. But right now, I also work a full-time job aside running strategic full time. So at the moment, we can only do quarterly. With time, we'll bring it back to every 2 months and then we'll be able to adjust. So thank you for sharing that. Magdalene, you said you had lost all motivation to run the organization before this meeting, but you're glad. So my voice has a way of boosting your morals. I'm happy where I have that effect on you. I count myself privileged to be able to have that effect on you. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for showing up in time for the meeting. I'm really looking forward to seeing the next 3 months when we reconvene tangible things that we focused on to achieve. It doesn't have to be so many things, one or two areas. If you want to focus on building collaboration, but you already have your North Star, the compass that everything we feed from.
Okay.
We'll be able to build one collaboration or one or two partnerships. Could be anything, but we want to start to measure action and the outcome of the actions that we're taking to building our organization. So thank you for that. Is there any other person that wants to share quick comments, and then we'll shut down for today? Any more comments?
Yes, I just want to say thank you, Coach Rookie.
My pleasure.
It's always an honor and privilege hearing your voice, and then the positivity that you emit and exude is equally very encouraging because it just makes us want to re-strategize, rethink, and then replan whatever strategy that we want to come up with. So I appreciate that. I heard you mention something about some documents that you shared. Is it on the Google Drive or?
Yes, you
Okay.
were in that workshop. Yes. So the
Yeah.
email that I
Mm.
sent sharing the recording and
Yes.
the drive, when you click
Okay.
the link for the drive, the SOPs, you would see a new policy that I added. I think about
o-
two or three new documents. The one that I can really remember is the project documentation policy and
Okay.
procedure. What should we be documenting? Each document that we need to create in the organization, why, what is the objective of that document? What's the objective the document intended to help us achieve as an organization, and what should be captured within that
o-
document? So I think it's about 6 pages, the policy document, but it just tells you the most critical things. So it's all about building new cultures that support growth.
Okay.
Because for growth to happen, it's a result of the things we do on a day-to-day basis, our
Mm,
practices, our habits within the organization. So it
mm,
just gives us a roadmap or a blueprint on the most critical things we need to be documenting
okay.
as an organization to help build this depth that I'm talking about, and then this track record.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Chinelo,
Hello. Yes.
just want to say thank you. Hearing your voice again has
Been
given
a
me
long time.
hope again. But I'm really stuck, to be frank. But I thank God for this session. It has really helped to motivate me again. And
Yeah.
again, I just want to say, like the other ones we've done before, you talked to us about our passion, where we did our strategic plan, what
Mm-hmm.
prompted us to start the organization. We did that years ago.
Yeah.
And now, like I said before, it was the help of my husband that trained me in school. I came out and I wanted to do something from the children.
Yeah.
But me, as time goes on, I still believe that I'm not getting it right. That fulfillment is not there.
It's not
Going
there.
to schools to teach them, to tell them, inside of me, I feel that is not what it means. I don't really know. Most times it just struck my heart to do out of school children. I don't really know. So I need your help there. If it means working one on one
So
anytime,
the
please.
assignment I will give to you, one page paper. You said this fulfillment, it's not there. You've done things, but it's not connecting back to that fulfillment. Right. Just take a piece of paper and describe what reality, because this has to do with your mental space now, mental energy, mental mapping. So sit yourself down alone with a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and then write yourself like journaling, your journaling. Just explain what reality will bring that fulfillment. What is it that you want to achieve for the children or for girls or whatever? Don't let money limit you, or resources, or where will I get the money to be able to do. Don't think about that one yet. We want to achieve clarity, first of all. So sit yourself with that piece of paper and write on it and describe the achievement that will bring about this fulfillment that you said is still missing. So you may need time to really think through, sift through the noise in your mind, and then describe what it looks like. That's the first step to the clarity that you need. So if it means changing your entire organization strategy, the organization is a living organism. It's not concrete, so it will change, it will evolve. At one point, you may pivot at one point or the other. But first of all, you need to be clear. So just go and do that assignment, and then send me WhatsApp message that, okay, you've done it and this is what you found out. So go and do that self-reflection. Don't do any project or anything. Go and do that and find that direction first of all. And then you can then begin to think through the other aspects of your organization.
Okay, ma. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. So thank you everyone that showed up. At first I was like, it's been a long time. Would they come? Or they've forgotten about all the things they'll be doing. So thank you so much for making out this almost 2 hours to join me in this session. Thank you, Emma. You were on the road, but you had to park your car to be here in this meeting. I really appreciate this. I do not take it lightly or take it for granted. Thank you so much. My team will continue to share grant opportunities every 2 weeks, whatever they find. They'll continue to share it every 2 weeks. You want to take a look at it to see, is there anyone that you can apply for or you're qualified for? And then after 3 months, we'll communicate the date. We'll come and hold ourselves accountable and then continuing our conversation of building resilience and sustainability, because this is actually a journey and not a destination. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody. Thank you and God bless you all.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Coach.
Bye.
Blessings.
Bye.
Blessings.
Bye, everyone.